Hi, this is Jim Hensel in Portland, Oregon. I'm going to show you the jigs I use to make my medium supers. I use a joint that the folks in Shasta use that's a little bit bigger than some joints. You'll see a little bit more about it later. So here we're using a radial arm saw that has a stop set to 19 7/8 to cut the long side of the box. We have a block that gets added to this stop to shorten it to 14 inches, which is what I use for my 8-frame mediums. You could have a slightly different block that would get you to 16 1/4. This way there's no measuring, and she's looking over the boards to decide how to best utilize the board so that we don't end up with knots in the joint area. So here's what that end stop looks like. Nothing special. And you'll see there to the left is the block that she puts in to shorten the stop to 14 inches so that we can cut a short board. And using 8-foot 1x8s, you can get 7 boxes out of 5 boards with about 10 inches of waste, so it's extremely efficient. So there she just cut a short board. That's all there was to it. And now she's back to cutting a long board. So then the boards are trimmed to 6 5/8. The fence has been set accordingly. The boards are reviewed, and we try to cut the worst defect out of the edge as part of this process to just improve the general quality of the board. So you'll see I'm inspecting the crown of the board and the edges of the board to determine the best way to cut the board. So I use an adjustable dado blade that you can adjust from very narrow to wide. You can see there how it's kind of eccentric on the shaft. I use it to cut both the rabbet that you see there that's in the end boards as well as the finger joint itself. So first here you'll see that I've set up the fence of the table saw so that it's 3/8 or half the width of that board, so that I can cut that rabbet in the end boards. I'm working with some broken pieces here that I'd like to salvage, and so I'm trying to pick the best one to dado. That particular one had a defect in the edge that I was able to dado out to improve the quality of the board. This is a board that I glued up. Some of the other boards weren't successful in my gluing attempt, so I'll just glue them up as I put the boxes together.
So this is my sled for making V-box finger joints. You can see here that it slides in these 2 grooves that are in my table saw, and you can see that's really nothing more than a couple of 3/4 square runners on a piece of plywood. There's the big piece of 2x4 at the front here and a big piece of 2x4 at the back, because you end up cutting above the plywood by 3/4 of an inch, and so you need meat to hold the plywood together. If I was to do this over again, I'd use a thinner piece of plywood because I'm having a problem with my dado blade reaching high enough above the plywood to make the groove. On the back side here I have a board, and I'll show it in operation in a minute. This piece here allows me to, I can unscrew it and put it on to adjust whether I start with a cut or start with a tongue. We'll see that in a minute. So here's the jig being used to cut inboards first. They start with a groove rather than a tongue, so I use that extra board to position the inboard so that it gets a groove first. After all these boards are completed, you could look at one of my other videos on using the assembly jig to see how I put these together. Hope you've enjoyed this video.